Welcome to Crossroad Connection. We're speaking out for those left unheard. You know, we've been talking a lot on this program about the issues for returning citizens when they return to the society, to the place where they lived, and seek to start their life all over again. And you know that it's filled with hurdles. Well, we have a couple of experts with us today on this. And the name is, first of all, Lori Morin.
Yep.
Sorry about that, Lori.
Yep, that's all right.
Lori Morin, and also we have here Ben Rosa, and they're both from the Criminal Justice Chaplaincy, which is located right here in Grand Rapids. And you folks are mentor program managers. You are, how would you describe what you do, Lori?
What I do? Basically, I run the mentoring program for CJC.
Okay.
So, and Ben helps me recruit and train mentors. We get those mentors from area churches through United Way on their website. Once they contact us, they go through the training that Ben and I put together. And then after that, we match them up with a returning citizen coming out of jail.
Okay, now let's not get ahead of ourselves here. You know, because you know, you guys know all about it, but
Right.
I want to make sure our viewers you know, stay with you. So you are the
Yep.
mentor program manager.
Yes.
And you are a recruiter for
and
mentors.
train.
Now, these mentors, if I understand it correctly, these are regular folks out there in the city, in the church, who are trained to assist returning citizens on their reentry. Do I have that correct?
Yes, what we do is we have a variety of folks from different backgrounds. We have retired folks, we have people that are working, we have ex-offenders that are also mentoring. So we have quite a variety of people from the community that volunteer to do this.
Why do you need to have a mentor? I mean, they get out of prison and they're good to go, right?
Well, actually, a lot of people, when they get out of prison, they don't have anybody. Either their family in the process of being in prison has either disowned them, or those relationships just aren't there, and they come out. And I have a lot of my mentees answer the question of, do you have support? And they will put, no, we have no one.
So they come out and they've lost all of their connections basically while they were in prison.
Quite a few of them,
And
yeah.
so they come out there and they just have no one. And this mentor, how has the criminal justice? Well, first of all, before we get more into this mentoring program, let's talk about the Criminal Justice Chaplaincy. That's the nonprofit that you guys are working with. What is that?
Criminal Justice Chaplaincy is it's a nonprofit organization. We have several services that we provide to the community, and one of them is the mentoring program. We have also another program that offers resources to women. It's called Take Charge.
Women who are coming out of prison.
Out of prison and who have been in prison, any type of criminal history. And we have a bicycle ministry also that we provide. We get donated bikes, fix them up, and give them to folks in the community that need transportation. So we do a variety of and also some case management there.
And now you folks though have come on board. Apparently this is to expand this whole mentor thing. Is that the reason?
Yeah. What we want to do is, because there's so many funds that are being cut throughout the organization, throughout prisons, and we just kind of decided that the church really and people in the community really have to step up to provide services to folks coming out of prisons. And we can't look to somebody else to do it. So CJC, we just decided that, and we've been doing this for about 12 or 13 years, providing mentoring service. So it's nothing, it's something we just didn't start doing a couple of years ago, and we're good at it. And it's just to provide, mentorship for these men and women coming out of prison who just need kind of a guide, an accountability partner when these men and women come out of prison, because they just don't, sometimes they're just confused. If they've been down or in prison for a long period of time, they really don't know how to navigate out here in society. So we, as mentors, and we, like I said, we have a variety of mentors, business people, folks that have been in prison that they can easily relate to and help. So we help them navigate this.
Do you try to find one mentor for each one, or you work with a group of people?
We can do both.
What works best? What's preferred?
Right now, probably the one-on-one, just because, yeah, we need more volunteers in order to do the group thing. Ideally, we would like to get a group from a church. If we could get 4 or 5 people from a certain church to take on one mentee, and then hopefully that mentee will join the community of the church.
Now, let me probe here a little bit, okay? Because
Okay.
you know we work with the same demographics, the same population, and I have seen people not through Crossroad, but through ministries like this, reentry ministries, who start off quite idealistic,
Yes.
and almost romantic. You know, oh, we're gonna help this person,
Right.
and then they get burned
Yeah.
because the person who has been incarcerated has, you know, is dysfunctional. I mean, there were severe boundary violations. That's
Yes.
that's crime, right?
Right.
So their default position can be a bit manipulative sometimes, and it's looking out for themselves, and then things happen, and then people get burned out, and churches get turned off to helping ex-offenders. Okay, talk to me about this problem. Who wants to take it?
I'll take that. That's one of the things we're retooling our training, because what we're doing now is training these new mentors that come to our organization, like you said. You know, we're going to fix this person, and everything's going to turn out rosy.
We know how life works,
Yes,
and we'll just tell them how to do
exactly,
it.
and just
Right.
tell them how to do it. And here's a roadmap, and it'll be easy for you. But what we're finding out, and Lori gets the cause from the frustrated mentors, is that there's a different way of thinking between the two, between folks in
Sure.
middle class and upper middle and lower economic situations. So what we're doing is we're bringing in folks from the community to help us train on frustration, that you may not see any positive fruit while you're mentoring this person in a lot of cases, but we're planting seeds, and in some cases we see a lot of progress. We see, you know, people getting jobs, people staying out of crime, but in some cases they mentor them for a month, 2 months, and things are going great, and the mentor is feeling fantastic, and they get a phone call that, you know, this person is going back to prison or jail, and then they feel like they failed.
Like they failed. You know, my
Yep.
mother has been an instructor for CBI for many years. Actually, started as an instructor before I became the president, and she was working with a one-on-one with one of her students, and then for about maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe not quite that long. But anyway, she found out that he was rearrested, and she just thought it was all her fault.
Right.
You know, so somehow she had failed, and so you have to explain to them, man, there are so many dynamics with this.
Right.
There are so many variables. There are so many emotional entanglements
Yes.
and history that, you know, you're planting the seeds, and maybe he or she will have to go back in one more time
Yeah.
before
Right.
the next time. But that doesn't mean they failed.
Yeah, what we say, it's taken them almost a lifetime to get to this point.
Good point.
You're not going to help change this thing in about a month or 2 months. It's going to be a relationship building process, and it's working. It's working. We want the mentors to have a realistic view of what it's going to be like.
Right.
So they, you know, if they run into issues, they'll call Lori and I. She gets all the complaints, all the mentors with the frustrations,
The desperate phone
the
calls.
desperate phone calls. But we are changing our training to address those.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that, because with all the emphasis that has happened in the last few years on reentry. As someone who's been in it for a few years, it's scared me because I'm not hearing enough about training.
Right.
And people think, well, you know, it's easy. You just, you know, do this and
Right.
that.
Right.
But they need to have training so that they don't go into it, like I said, idealistically
yeah.
or, you know, romantically.
That's
Right.
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 Well, Ben, you know something about incarceration because you were incarcerated yourself.
Yes.
And after the break, I'd like us to talk about that and see what we can learn, okay?
Super.
We'll be right
Yes.
back after this.
Correcting Bible study lessons is crucial to helping inmates. To partner with CBI in this safe and secure role, please visit us at cbi.fm on the web.
Welcome back to Crossroad Connection. My name is David Schuringa. We're speaking out for those who are left unheard. And we're talking with two representatives today from the Criminal Justice Chaplaincy, Ben Rosa and Lori Morin, who are in the mentoring program for returning citizens that has actually been around for quite a few years.
Right.
Jim Vanderschaaf,
Yeah.
who I know very, very well, was the founder of this ministry, highly respected in the community and among the churches and so forth, and now he's getting close to retirement. Maybe he has retired.
He's retiring. We're he's still there. We're going through a transition of interviewing individuals right now.
So they are actively looking for the CEO, the new CEO
Yes.
of
Yes.
that.
Yep.
Now, Ben, before the break, I mentioned to our viewers that you yourself were incarcerated,
Yes.
and from our little chat before the program, didn't I hear you say that you were actually a probation officer?
Yes. Yes.
A probation officer who ended up in prison.
Exactly.
Tell us a little of your story.
Yeah, it's a unique background. I started off as a probation officer for 18 years.
Wow.
And through some bad choices, greed, I ended up in prison. My sentence was 2 to 4 years. That was 22 years ago. So where I used to help people get into jails, I ended up in prison.
Were you manipulated by one of your clients?
No.
Oh.
No,
Can't blame them.
No, I can't blame them.
Okay.
I blame totally myself, bad decisions. So I ended up in prison. And
What did you see? How did your view of prison change after 18 years of being, you know, the probation guy,
right.
and then all of a sudden you are inside, or did nothing change in terms
No.
of your view?
No, there's a lot that changed. When I was in law enforcement, my view was, you know, put them away, lock them up, throw away the key.
Retribution.
You betcha.
Yeah.
And once I was in the system, I saw a lot of the injustices that were happening, and it really affected me to where when I came out, I just decided to be a strong advocate for change in the system, in the criminal justice system, mostly in the prison system.
I guess we don't know hardly where to start with talking about injustices and so forth, but let's go back with the fact when you got out, was it difficult for you?
Yes.
What kind of problems did you run into?
Well, it's the problem that all former offenders have, is that felony conviction. It's
The little box
a
on
little
the,
box
on
that you have to check on applications every place you go, and marking that almost always excluded you from employment.
Sure.
And so that was a situation that I had to deal with. Also, I had strong support when I got out. That was a plus.
And also, you didn't have extensive incarceration of 10 or 15 years
No.
where you get institutionalized
Exactly.
so seriously, right?
Exactly. It was long enough for me. 2 to 4. That was long enough for me. But
Of course.
you're right. It wasn't 10 to 15 years. But again, coming out of prison, I just decided that to be a strong advocate for change. And when I say this, you and I had this conversation before, is that if you commit a crime, you should be held accountable.
Absolutely.
But when you get out of prison or jail, you ought not be able to just keep getting punished and punished over and over again, because your debt to society is never paid. You do this for your lifetime, and that to me is an injustice.
Do you think this has anything to do with, I'll ask you this one, Lori, this ongoing punishment of returning citizens, which they face constantly? It's like, talked about jobs. I'm working strongly with the voting issues, and in terms of getting housing. It's endless.
Yeah.
Do you think, have you done any thinking on this? Do you think this is due to our wrong attitude towards punishment? And what I mean by that, it seems like that we have an idea that punishment needs to be payback and vengeance, where it strikes me that punishment, biblical punishment, needs to be restorative and rehabilitative.
Yes.
That doesn't mean they're not being punished.
Right.
But the punishment needs to fit the crime, in the sense, not payback, but in the sense of what they need to be restored to be a citizen. Right.
To be part of society.
Right.
Be able to come back and to contribute to society. Yeah.
But our attitude is to put this big letter on their chest and make them walk around with that, so it's constant payback, it's constant revenge.
Right.
You think that makes sense? That
Our
attitude is revenge.
Definitely. There's a label, and you're right. It's like hanging on them, and most of the men will say their two main goals are exactly what you said: finding a job and finding housing.
Right.
And it's very difficult to find. Yeah.
Well, I'm always, as a pastor, of course, I'm always looking at the biblical aspects of these, and I hear Christians, and I hear Jews, and I hear Muslims quote eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Right. They take it totally out of the context, of course. Yeah. The Bible acknowledges that there is a reciprocity code, but that man is forever lost in that. That's why Christ came, to pay the debt.
Right.
And Jesus says, "You have heard it said, but I say unto you, don't take revenge." The reciprocity code has been resolved, and so that's why punishment needs to be restorative.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what you guys are about with these mentors.
Mm-hmm.
You're training these mentors so you can help these men and women be restored.
Exactly. Exactly. If I could just add on to that, if I could. The failed policies of the past, in the 80s and 90s was lock them up, throw away the keys, punishment, pure punishment. Mm-hmm. And obviously, subsequently, we found out that doesn't work.
Recidivism rates higher than ever, 700,000 men a year coming out. And
exactly. We spend more on prisons than we do on education.
Yep.
So we're finding out now that there has to be different ways to deal with this.
Right.
And I'm encouraged, because I think that some of the correction departments are seeing this and looking for changes.
Are you involved at all with some of the alternative sentencing that's going on?
I'm involved with some committees that are looking into that. Not directly involved, but I'm familiar with alternative sentencing, especially for substance abuse. Drug offenses, because prisons are full of just small, minor players, and we keep putting folks away for those things, where we should really be doing a lot of treatment and alternative sentencing.
There's an interest right now in reentry. There's public money for helping organizations in reentry. That was stimulated not from a discovery of scriptures, but I believe it was stimulated because of the debt. And we just had realized we can't keep spending this kind of money on incarceration. What happens after the economy fires up again and we don't have that debt?
Yeah. Well,
do we possibly have a small window here?
Yeah, I really think that there's an opportunity right now. Like you said, debt. Michigan Department of Corrections has a $2 billion budget, and that's huge. And so the economy, you're right, is picking up, and I think some of these changes have come because of economic reasons, not necessarily
Principial.
Yeah, exactly. Not necessarily because it was the right thing to do, but that's okay. We'll take it as we get them and work with that. So I do agree that it's been the economy, but I think we have a window here to show, like we're going to do with the Department of Corrections to start. We're in talks with them now to start a mentoring program in prison and working with it outside.
While they are still in prison.
While they're still in prison. So we've talked, we're going to be meeting with the warden at Bellamy Creek, Ken McKee, who's a good partner of ours. We're also working with outside organizations, networking, because networking is key to helping. This issue that we're dealing is not just an issue it's a community issue. It's not just isolated. It's a public safety issue. If we do nothing, it's going to impact us real negatively. So we're partnering with different urban churches. Oakdale Christian is one of those that we have lunches with. Step of Faith Church, Reverend Stedford Sims, Brian Blakely, which you've had on this program before. Yep. These organizations have lunches that men and women come to, especially our luncheon
Yep.
On the first and third Tuesday. We have professionals, public service. Private.
At your offices?
At Oakdale Christian
Oakdale Christian Reformed Church.
Yep.
They host that, and we're proud of that. And also the men, and at that luncheon, that's men and women come together, mentors, and the participants, where they can have a meal and get to know each other, and we bring in resources from the community. Stedford Sims, Step of Faith Church, he has a men's luncheon second and fourth Wednesday, where it's just for men, where there's professionals, we eat a good meal, and there's private and public sector folks that come in, and a lot of folks that have been in prison, a lot of men that have been in prison. They can sit down and connect with these professional people and just get a different way of thinking.
Something has to be done, and you can use some help. And so right after the break, I want to tell our viewers how they can get involved. We'll be right back.
Stay connected to what's happening at Crossroad Bible Institute with Crossroad Network News. This free magazine is designed to keep you informed and inspired about what Christ Church is doing in prisons and jails. If you'd like a free subscription to Crossroad Network News, fill out the form online by visiting us at cbi.fm.
Welcome back to Crossroad Connection. We've been talking with two representatives from the Criminal Justice Chaplaincy located in Grand Rapids. It's Ben Rosa and Lori Morin, who are involved in their very important mentoring program. We've been talking about how important it is that these men and women, when they get out of prison, to have someone help them. How can our viewers get involved? We have just a couple of minutes. You want to help us with that? How can, if the viewers say, now what can I do?
Right.
They can pray.
They can pray.
That's important.
We do a lot of that.
You're looking for mentors.
Mentors.
People who will take on. Now, for the average person out there, this sounds really scary.
Yes.
This sounds this sounds really scary.
Right.
So, how do you answer that?
Basically, we like you to come to our training, and at the first one, we will introduce the program.
So you will train them.
Yes.
With do's and don'ts.
Yep. Boundaries.
What to expect. Boundaries. Yep. So that you're not just throwing them out into the water.
No.
You're training them so that they are equipped to do this.
Yes.
And of course, when they come to the training, they're not obligated to follow through.
No.
So they can just come, follow the training, and learn things.
Right. And if it's not for them, they can say no.
So nothing to be scared of so far.
Nope. So once you're done with that training, Ben and I will sit down and we'll match you up with a mentee, and then I will send you an email with a profile, and you still have the option to say no.
You can look at this person and say,
yes.
I can't. I
Without
don't want to help this
right.
one. Okay.
Yep. Or I don't think I'd be a good fit, and then we'll look for somebody else for you.
How much time? Okay, what does the mentor? Let me get to this. What does the mentor do with the mentee? What does that mean to mentor them?
Basically, you're going to spend about 1 hour a week. You're going to meet at a neutral location. And we teach you that, how to solution build with them. They're going to bring up they're going to have goals that they're going to want to work on that you'll know ahead of time.
So there'd be goals like getting a job, finding
Yep.
housing.
Could be
Maybe get some
self-esteem issues.
Counseling.
Yep, it could be spiritual.
Maybe they
lot
need a
of them.
driver's license.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
Yeah.
you have to help them get that. Okay.
Yeah, light them up with resources to do that.
What on average, how much time does this take for a volunteer a week?
About 1 hour a week. It can vary.
Really?
It can vary, though.
Just an hour a week? You have kind of a formal meeting or something with your mentee?
You try to
and then you have sort of an agenda on. Okay, so the person's not calling you in the middle at 2 in the morning or something like that?
You might get that, yes.
Okay. So you are there. You are on call.
Yes,
But
we do
in terms of a regular participation, it's about an hour
hour
a
a
week.
week. Yes. Yep.
Okay. And are there? Tell me as we close, what kind of person makes a good mentor?
Oh, a variety. We do men, women, anywhere from.
Now, what does that person have to be like?
Oh, like what's the ideal mentor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good listener.
Good listener.
Basically.
Okay,
You know,
good listener.
Yeah, somebody that has a lot of patience.
Okay.
Yeah.
And really wants to make a difference, but not right away. But basically, it's just to help empower individuals, guide them, not fix them,
Right.
but guide them, listen to their issues, help resolve conflicts in a positive way, show them how to do things, not do things for them, but show them, teach them how to fish.
Yep.
And you go into it, of course, that you are the superior who has all the answers, and these are the
No.
poor
No.
schmucks that
No.
need your
No.
help, right?
No.
We tell our mentors that you're going to learn a lot more from them sometimes than you're going to learn from
Yeah.
them.
That's the beauty of volunteering,
That's the
isn't
beauty
it?
of
You find
volunteering.
out equal image bearers of God.
Yes.
Learn,
Yes.
learn from each other.
Exactly.
Yep.
Well, my friends, this has been a delight to have you on the program, and I hope that you hear a lot from the folks when this is broadcast. And I wish you well, God's richest blessing. This is such important work. We think about it all the time. We work with reentry ministries and so forth because they can be students of ours in the prison for 10 years, but if they don't have the help on the outside, that education goes to waste.
Yeah.
That's right.
It goes away. Someone has to help them live that Christian life that we've been teaching them, and you've been doing that. So thank you
Yep.
so much for being with us
Thank you.
today.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for what you're doing. And thank you for being with us today. And I hope to see you again right here next week.